Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Jaspreet and today I am here to talk about one of my most frequently used tools for texture, and that is these beautiful silicone mats. I use them for texture as well as for creating sprigs, and we'll cover all of that in our video today. These texture mats basically come from the baking world. They're mostly used for cake decorating and fondant decorating and things like that, but they found their way into potter studios today, and a lot of potters use these, and I think they are one of the most easily available, easy to use and not too expensive tools for texture. So these are a great tool to use in clay for texture, and I really enjoy using them. And today I'll be showing you obviously a part of my collection and what are the different kinds of silicone texture mats and sprig molds and things I have and how I use them. Also, I have some samples of the pieces that I've made using these mats, so I'll show you those as well. There's a lot on the table right now. It is a big mess, but I think we better get started because you have a lot to cover. And we'll also cover where to buy these, where to find these. Now, I do buy most of my mats online. I'll talk a little bit about that, and also I'll try and list whatever I can in the description below. So that's the plan for this video. Let's get started. Alright, so here are my silicone mats and sprig molds and silicone molds and things like that, which I use in clay. I know they are quite a lot. Nobody needs so many texture tools, but well, I'm obsessed with texture. That's my excuse. Alright, let's get started. So this is one of the largest mats that I have, and this can be used to create a whole platter, and I think I have made one. I just can't seem to find it. But again, this is a fondant mat, I think it's called. So when I'm buying these, so let me just talk about where I get them and how I look for them. So most of these, actually all of these I bought online, either on Amazon or on my local online marketplaces. So those are the places where I usually find them. You can also find them in your baking supply stores. I do have one very close to the studio, and they also have a decent selection of these silicone mats and tools and things like that. So those are the places where you usually find them. Even in some art stores they may carry some of these, but I buy everything online because that's easiest for me and I have access to a lot more options. Some of them work really great for certain purposes and some of them not so much, and I'll talk a little bit about that as we get to it. Alright, so this is one that I have, which is a full field of texture. It's like a lace texture, looks great. I can't find the platter that I made with it, but I do have a little dish that went with it. So this is still bisque, it still has to be fired, but you can see the texture is, it's quite deep. It's not like a very light flimsy texture, it's quite deep. And with the glaze, the celadon glaze, a translucent glaze, you will be able to see the whole of the texture, so that's great. So this is one. Let me move this out of the way, and I'm going to show you some samples as go through these. I'm not going to go through each of them, but I'll just take them as a set of mats, and I'll show you how I use them and give you some samples. So these are again these long ones. So when you're looking them up online, I usually will look for silicone textured mat, or I look for a textured fondant mat, baking mats, things like that. Textured baking mats. So these are the things I usually will put in the search box, and different kind of mats kind of show up. All right, so this is another one. Now these are again, mostly I use these to make mugs. I have a few samples here. You can obviously use them to make other things as well. So for this, for example, I've used it to make these little shot glasses. That's the texture here, right? And I just used this as a measure and whatever this was, I just used this as a measure and made these shot glasses. They look really cute, and this has I think turquoise blue from Speedball, underglaze white back, and then I added cerulean from Spectrum on top, 2 coats, and this is what you get. So I use this mat to make something like this, right? You can use it for mugs, you can use it to make platters as well, and you can actually put them in clay multiple times to create a whole field of texture. It's just that whenever you're pressing them in clay, you will find these lines as well. There will be these lines also, the edges that are embedded in clay. You can get rid of them, that's possible. So that is there. Then for this, I have a few samples. So we made this in another video, I think a few weeks back, the incense holders. So at the back, if you see, this is the texture that I've used. I also have this texture that I've used inside this basket, right? And so this is again, you cut out strips, you texture the clay, cut out strips, easy to cut, and then you weave a little ceramic basket there. So I have a bunch of these, you know, the beautiful patterns. This is a peacock one, which I think a lot of people really liked and have seen. So there you go. Right, this gives a nice impression, and obviously I've used it with these are Amaco. Most of these are Amaco's mugs, and then this is cranberry on the outside. These are all 5 to cone 5. So yeah, that's another option which I've used with this. Here's another one which is really popular, which again people really liked. So here's another one of my lidded sugar pots or whatever you call it, with the same texture, right? It's still not glazed, and I made a milk pitcher to go with it, again using the same texture. And you can see the texture is really nice, you know, it's not like a very dull texture. You get a nice deep texture with these mats. I hope you can see that. So yeah, these are yet to be glazed. So yeah, these are some samples of these long ones. There are a bunch of these as well. Now these I think I found some of them on Amazon and I have listed them. Again, matte with texture. I've used it on this mug here, as you can see. Right, nice deep texture. This is again soft white, 2 coats, and inside I think is sapphire blue or one of the blues from Amaco. I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, so you can see the texture here. This is the texture that I've used. This is another one using the same texture. This is Amaco. What's the pink one called? Not Cherry Blossom, the one darker than that. And not Snapdragon, the one lighter than Weeping Plum. This is Amaco Weeping Plum. Okay, and you can see with Celadon glazes, you're able to see the texture through. Again, there are a bunch of these in this size. Now this one, again, this was really popular at one point. People really liked it, and I made a bunch of mugs, my wide rimmed mugs, using this particular texture. And you can see it's a beautiful texture, and the glazes look so amazing on these. All right. So yeah, that's the same texture. Similarly, there's this one. I haven't used it yet. It's a new mat, unused. Like I said, you don't need so many tools. You don't need so many texture mats. And here's another one. Again, I don't think I've used it. Again, they're easy to put in clay. All you have to do is, when you're using them, especially for the first time, add a little bit of cornstarch, and then you place them texture facing down and go over with a pony roller. Okay, we'll see if we have time. I'll include that. Then we have these ones, which you just saw a video how I use this to make a shallow dish form. So these are also great. These are much thicker than the others. I feel they're much sturdier, but they're great for texture. Similarly, I have these in a couple of different shapes. I have a bigger one as well in this. You can actually make a dinner service, you know, a dinner plate with a salad plate. I don't know, little coaster to go with it. This is still not used. Probably I'll make a few coasters using this. So yeah, these can also be used for texture, again mostly for the border, and they do really well. You get a really nice deep texture in clay. You've already seen this one. Let me just show you a sample of this one. All right, here you go. So that's again using the same texture mat. You can see it's a nice deep texture, right on the rim. Now a lot of these that you see on here, okay, let me just cover these first. Now this one, these mats, they have a much deeper texture. These two, if you see, you can almost use them to make sprigs, but I did use them, this one, to make some mugs, and they look really beautiful. Again, this is a darker clay body with soft white, spectrum soft white, and then I have actually done a mother of pearl on top. So that extra shine that you see on there, that's because the mother of pearl. So again, this is what I use. I use this to make a mug. Thing is, when you're using something like this, which has a much deeper texture, is that you have to really press the clay in. You can't just roll the clay on top, or you can't just roll this on top of the clay. You have to really press the clay in, right, all throughout, and then pull it out, and then smoothen the inside. And that's what I did that. So you start with a slightly thicker slab, so you have enough to kind of push the clay in, and then peel it away from the mold. Then you can clean up the inside. As you can see, this is nice and smooth. That can always be done. So these are slightly different to use, but again, really beautiful textures. Then we move on to these ones. Okay, so these are mostly your sweater texture. There's a company called Marvelous Molds which makes like a bigger version of this. I think I don't have access to those, so I bought this, I think, online. on one of my local marketplaces. So this I've used to make, again, mugs. This is again Amaco whipping plum on this texture. You can see it shows really nicely. So yeah, I've used this for making mugs. Now the thing with these is that if you have to make a mug with these, you need a longer slab, and for that you have to first press this in clay, peel this, put it again, and then press again. And for these also, it's a good idea to use a slightly thicker clay, because the edges here, whenever you're pressing them in clay, the edges will tend to push through the clay a little bit more, and it's a little bit of a hassle. But again, with practice you can overcome those issues. But yeah, these are some of my sweater texture. Another one that I have made small trinkets with these. Again, the issue with them is the same, that you have to press the clay in again, because this is deeper texture. You have to press the clay in, and if you want a larger field of texture, you first press it in, peel it off, lay down again, and then press your clay in again. So those are the issues with these, deeper texture. But you can get really nice sprigs from these. Like, you press clay in it and you get really nice flower sprigs. Now, what are sprigs? Sprigs are additional things that you add onto your existing pot. So that's what sprigs are, and that's how you can make little flowers and things like that using these. So again, they are deep, they can be used for texture and for sprigs. Now these are some of my silicone molds which I use for making petals for my little flower tea light holders. So you make a lot of these tea light holders, and they are really popular. So to make these, I use these to add texture on the side for the petal. Now this is a different one, but yeah, you do find them in a lot of different shapes. You can make, you can actually make different flower shapes and things like that with these. You basically put a little slab of clay inside and you press it like this. So that's how you are able to get a nice, a texture at the back and at the front. So again, they come in really handy for making beautiful flower petal impressions. Now the rest of these, if you see, these are mostly used for making sprigs, right? There are a whole bunch of these. I have a lot of these, and I have used them to make different things, and I can show you some samples here quickly. But most of these are used for making sprigs. Again, like I explained, sprigs are those additional things that you add onto your pot. Now, for example, this bee one, I've used this to put on my mug here, one at the center, and then I used one of these flower ones to make these flowers here, right? The bees here, again, a couple of these to make the bees, right? So you can use this to make these sprigs. Let me show you some more examples. This you guys have seen. You can use this to make these little bows for jewelry dishes, just cute little dishes. I use this to make the bows. These I've used to make sprigs on these platters, to add these. Can you see this? Right, this one was used here, and I used the larger one on this one, right? So you can see they can be used to create these little elements on your pieces. I really enjoy using these. There's another one with cactus. There are these with buttons on them. These are with leaves. There's this one with the, I have two of these. Exciting. I just realized while going through my stash that I have a bunch of these, like extra doubles and triples of some of my things. I'm going to sort them out into a different pile. At this point, I have like 5-6 of them already sitting at the table at the back. So I'm going to sort them out into a different pile and maybe do a giveaway or something. We'll see. But that happens sometimes. Anywho, so those are some of the sprig molds. Now this is another one. You can use this to create a little bit of a border, or you can use these for, again, little decorative elements. I really love these designs. I'm thinking of making some small, jewelry type things with these. You'll see. I'll just show you. Just made a few with these. These will be nice, cute little studs, earrings, right? You can use these to make these as well. These ones, if you see, this, and these are all really nice to create borders, to make borders around, edges and stuff. I have an example here, something like this. You can use this to create this pearl-like border around my berry bowl. I've used it here. I also have it on this guy, on my cheese platter again. Now I think I used my bisque mold for this, which I made using a string of pearl, but you can always use this as well. It works perfectly all right. These are nice to make these borders. They look great. Okay, all of these ones which are kind of longer, I use it for those. Here another one with flowers. Then there are these are really pretty, and I'll show you some examples of how I've used them. So this, for example, I've used on a plate here. Can you see that? Yeah, the sprig here, and made this plate. Again, a simple white plate with the sprig on the side, and looks so much more elegant. I like it. So this is a dinner plate. So the rest of the plate is nice and clean without any texture. Just the border has a little bit of this. This is one example. Then I've used this one to make another plate where I've added the sprig on here, right? I've used this also on the side of a bowl. Right. Here you can see I've added these created sprigs out of this and added it on the side. So I made a very long time back, and I haven't really glazed it yet because I can't decide what glaze to use. Anyways, inside is glazed with white and there's a lot of dust sitting inside, but on the outside I'm still thinking about what to do. And other than just adding these, I did do a little bit of slip trailing here, connecting the flowers. Not very neat, but I think it should work. Yep. So alright, this one is one of my favorites. I did make a couple of plates with these. I don't have the plates, they sold, but I do have some incomplete pieces. So here's a bowl. Again, I used this one on the side of this bowl, right? Just one side. And then I made another one, which is actually a set of two. So I made another one with the whole peacock on one side and a little bit of, feathers on the other side. You can see. Again, made ages ago, yet to be glazed. Now these bird ones are really special. Oh, let me show you what I use these for. So I use the bird ones to make this, my moon vase. Oh my god, this is one of my favorite pieces. Okay, so this is the one which goes in here. I use this one upside down, a couple of these in different ways, and then I carved out some of the bits here. Some of these flowers are falling here, and then a little bit at the back. Oh, this is my absolute favorite, You can see how beautiful this looks. Again, this is nothing but soft white on here. That's it. A couple of layers of soft white. It did drip all the way. I had to clean it up, but it's a beautiful pot, and I love how this came out. Just the birds here to make, this little addition to my paint palettes. This is on porcelain, that's why this is extra white, and this obviously I used a baby's breath to add this impression and then added this on top, but there you have these. And this is one of my relatively newer purchases, and I did try making something with this. Again, if you see, this is a really deep texture, so I will get nice sprigs, if I want to make these birds sprigs, those I'll get very nice. But for a slab of clay to get this kind of impression, I really have to push it in. And my idea with this was to probably make some kind of tiles, but in order to get a nice impression, given that this is really deep, you have to really press the clay in, and your clay has to be quite thick. So I'm still playing with it. I haven't really done much with it. I'm sure at some point I'll get to it. So yeah, these are my mats for texture. They are really easy to find, really easy to use, and not very expensive. And while we are here, I'm thinking, why not give this guy a try, since I haven't really tried it. So I'm going to take a little bit of cornstarch and just, especially the little birds, just go over the mold mat. This is more a mold than a mat, but okay, I'm trying to kind of get through all of these little areas. So I'm not sure how much of an impression we'll get. We'll see. Alright, so I'm just adding a little bit of cornstarch onto the clay surface. Also, this is freshly rolled slab, so I'm just taking this extra here and adding it to the clay surface. Again, you see I don't add a very thick layer. Alright, I think it should do it. And the slab that I'm using is actually a 1/4 of an inch thick. I've not used a very thick slab. Why? Because I already had this slab rolled to a 1/4 of an inch, so I thought I might as well use it. Alright, so we've placed it on top. covers the entire surface. Now I'm going to start pressing it, starting at the top very lightly, and then start going in. You'll start finding your birds somewhere along the way. Okay, yep, here's my bird. Continuing on, as you can see, I'm very lightly pressing this in. Again, here's my bird, and this is the fourth one. These were the deepest ones that we'll find. There's one more thing I'm going to do. Because my clay is so soft, because I can see these depressions in the birds, I'm going to press it in so it goes all the way and actually gets a nice impression of the bird, because I want the texture. The rest of it I'm going to just press lightly with my hands all across. Okay, now what I'm thinking is, again, this is something which I'm just trying right here on camera. I can see these little dips here. I have this really soft clay. I'm thinking I'll just fill this up. Okay, so it's a nice smooth surface at the back and not an uneven mess. Okay, let's see how this works. Because my clay is soft, I don't need to really do any kind of stepping and scoring and things like that. This is just fresh out of the bag clay, and it is very soft. You can see how easily I'm able to just smoosh the clay right in there, in those birdies, right? Once I have this nice smooth, like there's no depression there where the birds are, nice and smooth. Okay, now there's one thing you can do, which I'll try with my pony roller. Just go over and try and smoothen out the surface and get a nice impression underneath. Wherever you see this unevenness, just add a little bit more clay, smoothen it out. I have no idea what this is going to look like. Okay, now what I'm doing is just, again, because there were a lot of deeper spots in this mat, I'm just pressing everything in to make sure, it's all gone through. The thing is, you're never sure if it worked or not. Okay, I'm gonna give it one more go over this. Flatten whatever I can back here. Use my rib to smoothen this out as well. I mean, you can spend more time fixing this, but right now I don't know if I've actually got a good impression at the back, so I'm not spending more time here. All right, let's try and should we just release this? Okay, let's try and just release this and see what happened right there. Ideally, it should be the other way around. Oh my god, not bad at all. Oh my god. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh god, this is good. Okay, relax, just wait, relax. I hope you guys can see how amazing this texture is. Now, the birds look great because you pushed them in and then we added the extra, reinforcement. They're great. The leaves look good too. I think the only thing that's missing is these flowers here. I don't think we pressed them enough, but you know what? These things can always be fixed. How? Use your silicone tip tool, and that's a little rose there. Okay, so I'm going to just make my own little rose there. A couple of times you do this, you'll find your way around it. Again, these are things you will learn as you kind of make more of these. Not bad. I am quite happy with it. Now, what can you use this for? Given that it's such a, this is a really prominent texture, I won't be using it for a plate or a platter. I can use probably a little section for a side of a, a plate or a platter, but not for the, center at all. This is too much to cover the entire surface. This can be a little wall hanging. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Maybe we can make something together with the ideas, things you suggest that we can use this texture for. I'm thinking of wall hanging. Okay, let me just make this into a hanging for now. You can use these for making nameplates, like you can add alphabets in here, a little tag with name, house number, things like that. So mostly wall decor is what I'm thinking. Alright, so I've done this. I'm going to clean up the side. Before that, I'll just move this onto a different board. Okay, and then clean up the sides. And press the sides basically with a damp sponge and again damp finger. I'll just go over the edges, pressing them down. It's okay if you get rid of the texture. It's important to compress the edges. Alright, now I'm going to take these U's and just place them in here on the two sides. Yes, okay. Alright. And I'm just pressing it to make sure that it's sitting nicely on the board. So there you have it. I think that's a beautiful texture and it will look great on a wall as well. But if you guys have any ideas, for how else we can use this texture, please let me know. And then maybe we can make something together. So that's our texture and that's a little piece that we made today. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any ideas, comments for future videos, please let me know in the comments. In fact, today's video is also a suggestion from one of our viewers. So thank you so much. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, share, whatever things that you're supposed to do on YouTube. Please do that. It really helps the channel. And I'll be back next week with another video. Bye for now.